Tinubu never created a militia. Tinubu is one of the foremost politicians in Nigerian history.
Tinubu and his people created a militia. Who said those words, Daniel?
Tinubu has helped in strengthening democracy in
Tinubu
Nigeria.
And his people created a militia, Daniel. Who said those words?
Tinubu brought in leadership
skills
into governance.
Tinubu and his people created a militia. Who said those words?
Tinubu and his people never created the militias. That's
so why did you say they did on January 22nd, 2023?
I never said that.
The candidate of All Progressives Congress, Bwala, Tinubu, and his people created a militia. This is the first time in the history of Nigeria we are seeing a political party creating a militant arm leading to election.
Does he have a militia that tried to kill you?
He doesn't have. I never said he tried to kill me.
I myself have received threats from him and his camp. Your words.
I never said that.
There is also this threat to life, and I can tell you that because I myself have received threats from Asiwaju and his camp.
You said it was so corrupt, the 2023 election, Tinubu's win. You said that you couldn't eat food for 3 days.
I never said that. Where?
And legitimate complaints were raised all over Nigeria. That part is what threw me off balance. In fact, I became so sick. For the past 3 days, I found it very hard eating food.
Tinubu is not just super rich. It's what he does with his wealth. In 2019, 2 armored money trucks, bullion vans, were seen going into his house, coming out of his house. Where did that money go?
No. Point, did you see the money? Or those who reported, did they see money inside the bullion van?
Was there no money in the bullion vans?
How am I to know?
You said it was money in the vans at the time, 2023, February.
But there is only one person in Nigeria who is alleged to have moved money through bullion vans, and that person is on their ballot as the presidential candidate.
On the eve of the presidential elections, 2 cash-laden bullion vans, your words, were seen on the premises, which was ostensibly for vote buying. Your words, January 22nd, 2023. Have you just disowned everything you've said in order to work for this president?
I'm coming. What you just said now, I want to put it on record on my own honor. That's not what I said.
Okay, so the morning crossfire right here on 99.3 Nigerian for the Nigerians. Just giving what Nigerians want to talk about. All right, I don't know if you know the papers are covering it this morning. We'll find out. But this is the morning crossfire right here on 99.3 Nigerian for. You can call 0201 277 0993, 0201 277 0993. Get this first number to call 0201 277 0993. And 0201 465 7190. That's Daniel Bwala, who's presidential aide on policy communication. Like I said, Daniel, after I congratulated you on your appointment on 8th of January 2025, and I've been having a standing open invitation to you for a year now. You haven't replied me. You haven't commented on, read my messages, have not replied any of them. Well, this is what happens anyway. This is what happens. So Daniel Bwala, reply my messages and let's have that interview, okay? I don't know. Mr. Majeed Dahiru, I'm telling the people that Daniel Bwala replied my message since I congratulated him on his appointment in January 2025 and has not appeared on my program since January 2025. Maybe he's been busy. But I've been trying. I think maybe he's been busy. I know Daniel always replied my messages back then before he was appointed, so I believe it's been busy.
He's a big man now, so yeah. he's got what busier schedule.
He's been busy. Okay, but he's been on Nigerian for disclosure. He's been on our programs already, other programs. So I guess maybe he's been busy. Dr. Dahiru, good morning to you. It's good to have you on the program. Sir. Yes, sir. We'll look at other issues, but let's start by taking your thoughts on the presidential aid to President Bwala Tinubu on policy communication. What are your thoughts on what he said, his performance, and overall government communications at the federal level in Nigeria? Post or pre Tinubu and Tinubu?
Okay, what I can say is that let me give you an overview of the Tinubu communication strategy, Tinubu administration communication strategy generally. What I think they have done better is more of consultation. They do a lot of reaching out to media personalities, influential voices, and other such people that have the capability to influence public opinion. They do a lot of reaching out, do a lot of consultations. Somehow, they are not as adversarial to the media as was the case under the Bwala administration. They try to communicate some of their intended policies even ahead of time. Most of their major policy decisions are kind of discussed, to kind of justify and rationalize some of the decisions they want to take, and also get feedback. I particularly know of the case of the tax laws, the recently passed tax laws. When it was a bill, a lot of work was put into trying to get the members of the media community to understand what the government wants to do, and so they do a lot of that. But as for the communication now,
but sorry to interject, but that was largely due to Taiwo Oyedele's personal work.
But when not from Taiwo Oyedele, the presidential media team led by Bayo Onunuga, they do regular brief.
Yes, that I agree with that. Yes, Bayo does that. Yes.
The NSA also is somebody who the NSA officer also do. He does the same. In fact, sometimes he invites other ministers to come and actually brief the media of what they are doing. The Minister for Information has also been very fantastic in this regard.
True.
And trying to reach out and try to get the buy-in of the media. And one thing I can give to them is that they also appreciate very honest feedbacks.
Okay.
Very honest. They appreciate it a lot. And somehow we just roll along. But if it comes to communicating, speaking about what government has done, the problem is that you do not need to complicate to Nigerians what government has done. Nigerians will feel it. If there's an improvement in security, Nigerians will live here. We don't live outside of the country. We will feel it. We will know. So what I think some of these media aides should do or should not do is to kind of emulate what the Minister for Information is doing. If you observe, the minister, he talks less, and he doesn't exaggerate. He doesn't lie to the public. Things that are not very defensible, he kind of leaves it, and rather he plays up what is very visible as achievements of the government.
But was this the same minister? Was this the same minister, sir, who said last year that there has been no single attack on any press person in Nigeria?
No, what he meant was that for the government, apart from people that may have cases with individual people in government, and they're not trying to use the police to probably come under the cybercrime law to get a journalist. But what he's saying, and I can relate, is that the way government used to go after the media. Let me tell you something. Ask your people in Abuja. In the 8 years of the Bwala administration, my file from Nigeria Info at NBC was, it will fill up this room that I'm sitting in now. They were always reaching out to the management of NBC, of Nigeria Info, about me particularly. It was so serious that every time Kim will have to go and play back our interviews for the management to listen and now decide whether or not to cross certain lines. It was that serious. Week in, week out. So same thing on AIT on TV. At a point, my file in NBC was I think I had the largest file there. I'm going to not the top of NBC. Government was using every means possible to get at. So for people that are not lucky, that have pressed certain lines, they came hard on them. But this government is not taking that approach. But individuals in government may be doing the same thing. Individual, but not a government thing. But in my own case, it was the Federal Ministry of Information. That was the case of people like us that were seen to be critical. We were blacklisted. I mean, nobody consulted you on any issue. It was that serious. So I'm saying there's a bit of more latitude, a bit of more breathing space under this administration than before. That's an improvement. So it can be better than it is, but okay, so far, not so bad, I would say.
I mean, this particular information minister, I mean, it seems to be a nice gentleman. But he said clearly that there was not a single attack on any Nigerian journalist or press person. I think last year or since the Tinubu administration came on board, which was not the fact. So
maybe
I don't know.
State sanctioned attack.
He didn't. He just said there was no attack. No journalist had been incarcerated. Nobody had been jailed unjustly, held, and in detention and all that. When we know that is not the case because we have documented evidence, sir.
Like I said, maybe for me, I'm not trying to defend him though, but I'm just saying that if he meant state sanctioned, particularly federal government sanctioned arrest and detention of journalists arbitrarily, he could be right. But I know that there are some powerful individuals that are using the police to harass journalists. So the first is that it's not state sanctions. It's not as if the federal government is clamping down on the media. But there are some people that are using their authorities, their powers to do the same. I'm just trying to compare what we have now, what we used to have.
Okay.
So now say, look, there's an improvement, really. There is an improvement. I'm a critic of this government, and I still remain a critic. But in this regard, I think there is a remarkable improvement. Now, like I said, but the communicating government policies, you don't need to communicate what government is doing. If I travel, for example, from Abuja to Lokoja, and I see an improvement in the road network, nobody needs to tell me. Okay, like the issue I just talked about now, about a bit of more freedom for the press, from my own experience. I'm speaking from my experience. Government didn't tell me this. I didn't even hear the minister say what was supposed to have said. I didn't have to hear that. But I can say that, okay, from my experience so far, and what I can observe around my colleagues too, there seems to be a bit of more conviviality.
All right.
Maybe because the president has some level of civil society and democracy background.
Okay.
That still carries on into the office. Maybe.
So what should the fate of Daniel be now? Some people have called his have called for his resignation. Some have described this as a career-ending interview. Is this the end of Daniel Bwala as a government communicator?
It depends on why I cannot speak on Daniel Bwala is because I do not know the reason why the president appointed him in the first place. I can't tell.
He appointed him to be his spokesperson or his aide on public policy communications, which is what he's doing. So, Majeed Dahiru, having watched and seen his performance, should this be the end? Should he resign, like a couple of my listeners have suggested, or is this a career-ending interview?
Okay, let me put it this way. If I were to be in the room where his appointment letter was written, I would have moved anything to do with policy and communication from his mandate or terms of responsibility. I think Solidarity does better in terms of policy communication. Daniel Bwala is more of a political communicator. I mean, he can speak on general issues. He can, that's the way he was doing for Atiku in the opposition. So I would have expected that that's the kind of role that had been given. But about policy communication, you need to be very hands-on on data, hands-on on the intent behind policies. You have to be a professional yourself, somebody who has been on the driver's seat of policy formulation and implementation, to be able to effectively communicate policies, which is something I do not think that the Bwala has actually been. So I think that was, maybe they mistook his eloquence for, so
okay. People are overreacting. Maybe some of our listeners are overreacting. Maybe would you say that? But anyway, sir, I had the privilege of observing from a very close quarter the work of what South Africans call government communication and information system. World class. That for me is a minimum standard. I can't take up your time to start telling you what I observed and the lessons I learned from South Africa's GCI.
So probably should ship our guys to South Africa to go and learn from them. What do you think?
Maybe I can link them because I'm on their group. it's amazing. When I went for the G20 leaders conference with all those presidents and all, they were the ones handling the media, and you could see how at least an organized government communication setup should work, and I was impressed. It made me realize maybe we can borrow a leaf or two. But sir, let's leave that at that. Middle East war pushes up petrol and food prices. Talk about this somewhat 8 o'clock. But how much are you buying petrol in Abuja today?
I hear it's $1 now.
Yeah, I bought I think at midnight, I bought one for about 1,050 something naira. Yeah, at Eternal oil. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this? Food prices are going up, petrol is going up.
You see, this was what some of us observed and known when we said government cannot remove a safety net. That safety net called subsidy on energy prices because of times like this. As we speak, all other countries have their subsidy mechanisms to stabilize prices, including in the UAE, Saudi Arabia, that are come under attack. Not like nobody has attacked us yet. Their governments have stepped in. In fact, hotel bills in the UAE have been taken over by government. Remember where you are, government will offset the hotel bills until the situation calms down and everybody can go about their normal business of the day. But in Nigeria, that safety net has been removed. So what this means is that if this war goes on longer than usual and the Strait of Hormuz continues to be blockaded by the Iranian authorities and the price of crude oil soars to somewhere around $150 per barrel, it means Nigerians will be buying petrol for at least between 1.5 and 1.8, or if not 2,000 naira. And there is nobody to control, but there's nothing to control it. Government is not there to cushion the effect. I'll tell you something. I have a very close follower in the US. His name is Paul. He listens to our programs, both this one and the one on Nigeria Info Abuja, dedicatedly. You know what he told me? He called me as soon as this war started. I said, there's been a slight increase in the price of PMS in the US, but that the increment was very, very, very negligible because government in the US controls the price of PMS. That if it was left to just private sector operators alone, the prices would have increased much more than it increased. He was trying to let me know that the things we've been preaching in Nigeria are the things we enjoy even in the US, which is the headquarters of the capitalist world. That look, they are aware that this increment is at this level because government intervened to make sure there's no go beyond that level. You cannot deregulate the price of energy anywhere in the world. We cautioned, we warned. But you know what happened to Nigerians? After a while, we became used to the 800 and 900 naira per liter price of petrol. And we now began to adjust to it, and we kind of forgot about that problem of subsidy removal. Now it has increased again. So if this thing continues, we will get suffocated. And guess what? Whatever money government makes, and this is the danger here. Whatever money government is going to make as windfall will similarly go to paying for more arising from inflation. So government will still have to spend that money to spend more money for less delivery of goods and services. Because like I've always argued, this policy affected the government as much as it affected the citizens. That is why no government in the world removes that safety gap, that safety net, that safeguard from the price of energy. Nobody does that. Nobody.
Majeed Dahiru,
it's suicidal.
We don't have a copy of the Punch, but we read a soft copy front page where we had the first part of the Dailies today. And this is the story. Rising fuel prices. NNPC may supply foreign crude to Dangote refinery. NNPC may supply foreign crude to Dangote. And these are the riders. Third fuel price hike looms. Motorists groan as petrol nears 1,200 naira per litre. Dangote suspends fuel sale briefly amid rising prices, marketers say. Nigeria triples crude imports from US in 1 year amid rising local shortage. And I just want to add that to this particular headline. Debt servicing surpasses capital spending by 3.9 trillion naira in 2 years. Okay. Please help us make sense.
Our books are not looking tidy. Our books are not looking tidy at all. Now, let me talk about an important issue with higher education here. I know Nigerians can be very emotional. You recall when I told you that there's no country in the world that depends on local production of energy alone without augmenting with importation. Remember I made this point. When the Dangote people wanted importation to be banned, and I said no, that the two must be allowed for the purpose of energy security. Now Dangote has momentarily shut down because it's his decision. He wants to reappraise his cost input to know what to be the cost reflective output. Is that also? So in the interim, what happens to Nigerians if Dangote decides to prolong this shutting down for more than a week or two? What happens to you and I? That is why you must open all streams of supply. It's not about hating Dangote. Nobody has got anything against him.
So what
but this is the standard practice globally.
What do you have to say about
so that importation will not come to rescue us?
NNPC contemplating or possibly supplying foreign crude to Dangote refinery? So is this not the lowest the nation has sunk to?
No. Let me explain something. You see, local crude production is also tied to the international market. It's a global market. And it has been completely deregulated. Completely. Now, NNPC has a trading arm. They trade in both crude as well as refined products. So NNPC, as a supplier, can source its own crude from anywhere in the world and supply to a customer. What is important is to give you crude supply.
Sir,
now,
why don't we have enough? Why do we have to? Okay, sir, let me ask you, who is Saudi Arabia importing crude from?
From Nigeria.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi imports crude from Nigeria.
Oh, they do?
That is America imports. America can produce 20 billion barrels per day.
Let's leave America. We know their issues.
America imports as much as it produces.
No,
Saudi imports crude from Nigeria.
Okay.
Saudi imports crude from the US. Saudi imports crude from UAE and other neighboring countries. Saudi imports
does Angola import crude?
Every country imports crude.
Does Angola import crude?
Every country.
Sir, does Angola?
There's no except countries that do not have large production of refined production. It's not. There's nothing wrong with it. You must augment.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with importing crude, you know.
No, there's nothing wrong.
Okay, fine.
No, it's augment your local stock, because you know why? At all times, supply of crude and refined products must exceed demand. Any shortfall will trigger panic buying, trigger spiking in prices, and inflation will set in. So most countries that already produce also import. Not because they don't have our own, it's just to augment.
Okay.
It's just to augment. There's nothing really.
Okay.
Like I said, it will be deregulated.
So I have it on record here that Saudi Arabia does not import crude oil in any meaningful or regular quantity. As one of the world's largest crude oil producers and the top global exporter, it has no need to import crude for its domestic supply or refining in significant amounts. And reliable sources confirm that. Ask Grok. The International Energy Agency explicitly states that Saudi Arabia did not import crude oil based on its World Energy Balances data. Saudi Arabia is consistently described as a massive net exporter, with crude oil exports forming the backbone of its economy.
There's a difference between being a net exporter. You know what a net exporter means? Let me explain this. A net exporter means you export more than you import. Saudi imports light body crude from Nigeria.
For its domestic market to give its people petrol, or is it for some refineries there who want sir, please, is it for its domestic market because they don't have enough crude to refine to give petrol to its people? So can I ask my full question? Can I ask my full question? Are they importing to refine for Saudi residents and citizens because they don't have enough crude to give their people petrol, or are they importing
to augment
what, sir? Are they importing to refine to sell to people?
To me.
Okay.
Kofi They import to augment what they have at home.
No, but are they
because supply must exceed demand at all times.
Is it because so the crude? Because I've looked at my grok and it says they do not import. But
grok is not a reliable.
Okay, no problem.
Grok is not a reliable information.
No problem. I'll do more research. But I'm asking you now, as my analyst here, does the crude you're saying Saudi Arabia imports, are they importing because they can't give their people petrol? Or they import, or do they have more than enough for their people, but they're just importing so they can use it for business, refine and sell to other countries?
So if you come down and explain, I said in the dynamics of energy management, supply must exceed demand at all times. Meaning, if you are producing 10 million barrels per day, you will buy to stockpile just in case, for instance, something happens to your local production. Your machines, your milling machine keeps rolling.
Okay, let me ask you. Let me reframe my question, Majeed Dahiru, Doctor. Yes. Has Saudi Arabia gotten to the point where it cannot supply its local refineries crude for its local consumption?
No.
Have they gotten to that point that they have to import?
Let me explain something to you.
It's a simple question.
Saudi, no. I don't. Saudi has reasons for importation. I don't know.
No. I'm asking you.
What I know for a fact that they import.
No. Have they gotten to the point? Have you ever heard? Let me ask. Have you ever heard that Saudi Arabia lacks enough crude to refine for its local population?
There's something I'm not getting here, sir. Saudi oil management is state-owned 100%. Saudi Aramco operates the refineries and their oil fields. Now, when Saudi imports crude oil into its own country, that's why being a net exporter of crude oil. Net exporter means it exports more than it imports. That's why the word net exporter. That's the meaning of net exporter. It exports more than it imports, meaning there's a balance in its favor, but it imports nevertheless. When it imports crude, it's simply to augment its stockpile at home, not necessarily because of scarcity. No. But in the case of Nigeria, our oil production in Nigeria is privately owned. It's privatized. So producers have commitments to their customers abroad for many years. When you go into oil production, you sign sales agreement with potential customers, even before you start drilling. And as you are drilling, you are supplying your customers. Now, NNPC is a player as a company, not as a country, as a company. So NNPC also has supply routes both within and outside the country. So if you want NNPC to supply you crude, they can give from their stockpile in Nigeria if it's available. If it's not, they import and sell to you. They're a trading company. That is how PIA is structured Nigerian oil and gas industry. It's privately owned exclusively. So we can't force Shell, Seplat, Owando to sell crude to anybody in Nigeria. They will tell you we have commitment already to our customers overseas.
All right, I've still gone around to do more search, and the answers I'm getting is that Saudi Arabia does not import crude, but may import refined fuel, not raw crude. You know, but
so I told you Saudi imports refined petroleum and Saudi imports crude oil. There's no country in the world that does not import.
Okay, but are they importing because they can't supply their local refineries? They don't have enough to give their people. There's scarcity. They have run out of stock. You still don't answer that question.
The context to that is not there.
No, it's a simple.
America, for instance,
okay, Majeed, we have to go.
Let me explain.
So we're out of time.
America has got underground.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
It's 8 o'clock. .3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.